Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. This is a series of spotlights on remarkable exit planning advisors from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Mark Painter. He's the founder of Everguide Financial. Mark, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Mark, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically let us know who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping?
Yeah, so I started my firm in 2016, and basically I work with mainly small to medium-sized business owners. So everything from helping them create value in their business to make a decision on whether they want to, grow their business, sell their business, and eventually exit, to helping them figure out how to better manage their cash flows and manage their money inside their business, maybe save some taxes along the way as well.
So as you know, these business owners are great at their craft. They're always thinking growth, growth, growth. But how much thought do they really put into exiting the business or getting it ready to exit? What's on their mind when you speak to them?
It's interesting. You would think that you build a business that eventually you want to sell and create value with. And it's very few that actually spend the time to figure out what their business is actually worth, and how they will go about exiting the business. And they usually put that off until they're about ready to do it. And that is what I found is the worst time, because you want to be prepared so that when the time is right, then you're ready to exit, rather than, hey, I'm ready to exit. How do I get myself prepared? So that's what I've typically found with most business owners.
In this series, we aim to clarify the importance of exit planning, and let's unpack that a little. Can you kind of give us a 10,000-foot view of like how an exit planner like yourself helps that business owner, and in what areas do you help them get together?
Yeah, and one of the things, absolutely, one of the things that as a SEPA, and going through the Exit Planning Institute, one of the things we like to do to at least start off is what we call a triggering event, and that is basically to educate the owner on what the value is of their business, and then figure out what, both from a business perspective and a personal perspective, and tying them both together, figure out what their actual needs are, and then from there, we will go through a series of events to figure out how we can create value in their business, get them ready for exit planning. A lot of times we'll go through a process like this, and they'll find, hey, wait a second, maybe I don't want to sell my business. Maybe there's things that I can do inside here. Maybe I can work less or bring somebody on that will maybe take my business to the next level, and I will still create value, and I don't have to go ahead and sell it. So there's a lot of different processes that go through, but it really starts a lot with that triggering event, which is to just really understand what you have, what it's worth, what you own, and really lay that out so they get to see it. Because as you said earlier, a lot of times what you see with business owners, they're so laser focused in running their business that a lot of times they just need to step back and see that big picture.
It reminds me a lot of like selling a house and getting all fixed up, and you finally are like, wow, this is a beautiful house. I don't want to move anymore.
Yeah.
So, Mark, come to think of it, when you start working with a client, what are some of the big things that you see them making mistakes with? What are the pitfalls or mistakes that you see them make that you can easily correct?
Well, one of the biggest things, and this is especially true for the smaller business owner, is they need to separate themselves from the business. And so what do I mean by that is, a lot of times you may have, and it's one of the things we like to call, there's a lifestyle business, where basically the owner is the business. Without the owner, it's not necessarily worth anything. And that is probably one of the hardest things for a business owner to overcome, because they put so much time and effort and sweat into their business. If they take a step back and let other people come in and grow and run that business, sometimes it's very, very difficult for them. And that is the single biggest step, is to have people and processes in place that when you are able to sell, that somebody's going to pay a premium for your business because they can just plug right in, versus that entrepreneur, that founder who is so integral to every part of the business, if they sell and they step out, there's nothing left. And a lot of times they won't get the value for that. So that's the biggest hurdle that I always see. And it's not necessarily easy to fix, but it's there's a lot of math that you can do as far as valuation, but a lot of times it becomes very personal and psychological as well.
I can relate to that in a couple of businesses of my own, having to replace myself, not being always the easiest thing to do. Yeah. Mark, this pandemic we just recently are starting to come out of, this has affected businesses obviously in a lot of different ways, some good, some not so good. What have you seen in your area? How has this affected people's exit planning? Has it changed anything at all?
It's interesting because I'm actually going through one right now where a particular client, he's been in his business for a while. It's a somewhat cyclical business, and he's been through the ups and the downs. And exiting the pandemic, and actually his business did actually quite well, but he just doesn't want to go through that cycle again. He doesn't want to see, he's getting old enough where, he could work for another 10 years, but does he want to put in that effort? And that's the thing that I'm seeing is maybe certain people are moving up their timeline of when they want to exit their business because they saw all the effort and work that they just had to put into just to maintain their business for the last couple of years. And they're concerned that, what happens if something else, not necessarily a pandemic, but maybe another financial crisis or something of that, where their business takes a major hit. They don't know that they have, if they're in their mid 50s to early 60s, they don't have another 20 years to recover. And so they're actually speeding up the process a little bit.
Mark, what inspired you to get into this field and help businesses grow and help business owners with their exits? How did you get started?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, my background is really more as in finance, more as an investment advisor and a money manager. And what was fascinating was really I dealt with a lot of business owner clients, and there's certain things that you can do with money management and tax management, but I found there was a big hole in the advice that they were getting for their actual business, and so it really kind of came from there. I also, as an investor myself, I invested a lot in startup companies. I became part of the entrepreneurial organization at my alma mater. I got involved in a lot of these different things. In fact, I'm a judge every single year on a entrepreneurial competition back at my college. And so being involved with business owners and startups and seeing it from, really helping them figure out how to go about raising capital to then seeing the exit, I found kind of this void where, there's not too many people that provide that type of advice. And so I got more involved in that. And that became a staple of my business and what I offer to clients.
Before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners considering exiting now or in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is really even if you're thinking about 10, 20 years down the line of exiting your business, there's no better time than today to start exit planning, because a lot of the things that you can put in place, the earlier you start, the better off you'll be. And actually, the more valuable your company will be. Because a lot of times I find, even with dealing with people, it's if they wait too long to when they're about ready to exit, then they're not going to put in the work, and they'll say, you know what, I don't care, I'll take a lower valuation, I just want out at this point in time. Versus if they've been doing at least a little something every single year to think about the overall value of their business, then they'll be much better prepared when the time comes. So basically, bottom line is there's no better time than today to just even start thinking about that exit planning process, even if you're not ready to exit.
Sage advice. Mark, for business owners listening right now who would love to speak with you, how can they find you and connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, very easily, you can find me either on LinkedIn. You can find my website, everguidefinancial.com. Those are the easiest ways. You can follow me on Twitter as well. I like to put out a lot of thoughts on a daily basis. That's at Mark Painter 17 on Twitter. Those are the easiest ways. And on my website, they have all my information. Whether you want to call, you can actually schedule a 30-minute introduction as well. And the website also has some videos and some educational pieces as well for business owners.
This has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate the time today. Enjoyed it.
That was Mark Painter, founder of Everguide Financial. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.